Let's update our user REST API with the name. Earlier, we are getting all the users. Now, we'll try to update our API to get a user with a specific name. And apart from this, we are going to update our REST API to include to update an user. So when you try to want to update an user, you need to use the put method. Then you are going to find the corresponding name, the user with the matching name, then go and update his email, phone, and password fields. We even going to implement the delete method also. So in the delete, what exactly we are going to do, we'll try to find the we'll try to take the users object and users array and try to remove the user matching with that name and update our users array. Okay, and we are going to verify all these APIs with Postman, how they behave. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. So here is our Visual Studio Code with get and post request. So let me update this API to have get user by name. Okay, perfect. So we are trying to have, so when you indicate colon name, so here you identify that colon name indicates in the request you are going to pass the name as a route param. And what exactly we are going to do, we are going to identify the user in the users array with the name. If the user is found, we are trying to return the user. If the user is not found, we are returning user not found with 404. Let's go and try to implement the put methods also, means to update the user. So we want to update the user by name. Okay, so in this case what we are going to do, we are going to accept the user with name. So if you observe our code base, what exactly we are trying to do here, we are trying to find the user matching with the request. Like whenever you try to pass the name as a param, so request dot params contains the name, so whatever you are trying to give it here, and we are trying to identify the user, and then we are going to update that user information. So as of now, I don't want to update the name field also. I just want to update the email, phone, and password fields, and then we are going to return the updated user. In case for any reason if the user is not found, we are going to return the 404 user not found response. Similar way, we are going to implement delete user by name. Okay, so let's go and try to write the REST APIs in such a fashion that we are going to delete by username. So here first what we are trying to do, from the users array. So if you see that what is users here, users is nothing but an array. From our users array, we are trying to find the index of the user with name that is matching. If the index is not equal to -1, in the sense if it is greater than -1, then it indicates that yes, user exists. So then what we are trying to do, we are trying to splice the index. Like what exactly we do, wherever that user is found, we are trying to remove that item from the users array, and then updating our users array. If the user is not found with that name, then we are trying to return the status as user not found. So you can look at my ES6 tutorials on JavaScript AP array APIs to know more about find index and find and filter and splice methods to get more information on that. So now what we have done our REST APIs. Let's go and try to run these applications. Let's debug this application now. So let me demonstrate now how to debug our applications. To debug, let's go and put the respective breakpoints at those locations. Here I put a breakpoint, and you need to go and click on the behind your number editor. I put for delete, I put for that. So let's go back to our Postman to verify these APIs. Now here is our Postman tool. So let's go and try to execute our previous APIs to see the debugging mode. Whenever I have the existing localhost 5000 API users, when you click on send, okay, it says, okay, yeah, I need to run my application first. So to do that, let me go and start run this application. So yeah, see that, yeah, our application is now running. Go to our Postman, try to send. So now it is trying to say sending request. Then that means that your breakpoint has been hit here. So what are you doing? You are trying to respond with the user object. Complete the debug. You got your users with John, Jane, and Jim. So these are the information that is available here. Now we can even go and do a post request with allies, and then you can go and click on send. Then you are at point with the post now. So from the request dot body, which is containing, if you see that this is a request which have been sent, we have the email, name, and phone password, and we are going to get that name, email, phone, and password, and we are incrementing with id, and then we are trying to push the users. So now if you go and try to look at our users, it has 4 items with along with the ally smith also. Now what we do, we are going to update our postman collection to have get user by specific name. So here we are trying to, so let's take the user with John Doe, and I'm trying to pass this user as a after this slash. I try to put this and try to click on send. If you see here, this breakpoint is now hit at this API because now the route matches with this API slash users with a name. Like whenever you say class clone name, you are going to get the name. So if you see this request, if you see in our request, so it is going to share request dot params. So it is going to give the in the request dot params we have only name as the parameter. So in this case, the name is being a John Doe. So now let's go and try to debug. So now we are trying to find if there is any user matching with that name. Perfect. So we are able to identify a user with that name, and we got that user, and it is going to respond with that name. So if you see our postman response, we are going to get the user with that name. Let us assume that I am going to just give the user who doesn't exist. So I'm going to send a request, and it is going to hit our breakpoint. And if you see here, and if you see here in our request dot params, the request dot params is going to contain the John Doe one, and you try to identify that user. That user doesn't exist, and so the user doesn't exist, and it is going to show user not found. And with this, you will be able to see the response here. You try to focus more on this. Status is 404 and user is not found. Whereas if you try to pass a valid information, you are able to find that user. We have already discussed this example. Now you are able to see 200. Okay, means the user information has been successfully retrieved. Now let's go and try to verify the post method. Put method means I want to go and update. So here go and click on new, go to HTTP. I want to make it as a put method again. I'll try to go and put, yeah, I want to update this John Doe information. So what exactly I want to do is I want to pass the user information updated. So for that, let me get the user information now. I am going to stop the debugging, and I am trying to get his existing user information. I'll capture this. I need it for the put method. So let's go and try to create a new put method. Okay. So perfect. And what I do now in the body, I'll try to select raw and JSON. And I am not going to pass the ID and name. I'm going to pass the other information. So now for John Doe, I'm trying to update his email as John Doe at jetanix.com, and yeah, you can update the phone number accordingly. Okay, so we can have the password as $J. Now, when I'm going to click on send, it is going to hit the breakpoint our post method. So now we got the information. This is the existing user information. And now on the request dot body, if I go and try to click for request dot body, so you're going to get the new request was john.doe at jetanix.com, phone number and password. And then what I'm doing here, if the user exists, then we are trying to go and fetch the email, phone number and password fields and going and updating the user and email phone number here. So that's the information that has been retrieved to this. So this is the new information for that user. So to verify, you can go and call our existing get API and you can see here that yeah, it is again hitting this our API. So if you see here for John Doe, the for John Doe, we have seen this email and phone number has been updated. Let's go and try to verify the delete API. We can go and call HTTP request and go and specify our method as delete. And we are going to specify this. Yeah, I want even go and pass this John die as the information. And I'm going to click on send and it is going to hit our breakpoint. And what we're trying to do is we are trying to find the index of that user, like where exactly that index of the user where it exists. And if you see the index, it is 0 means it exists at the first item. And if the index is not -1, what exactly we are trying to do, what is the splice method, it accept the item to be removed. So we are taking from 0 means we are trying to remove from the first item, and then we are trying to splice. So with that, we have our user array has been updated to this user has been successfully deleted. Now we can go and verify our method with API users. So we have removed John Doe information, and now this time, yeah, again it is going to hit the our breakpoint. I'm going to not going to debug. So you have John Doe information has been removed. So, what exactly we have discussed? So, what we have done, we went to our REST API and we have implemented the methods for delete, put, get the users by specific name, and we have used our Postman capabilities to get the users by name, get the users by name, update the user for a specific user, and try to delete user by name.